This week on GamePron News, medical specialists argue with Nintendo over the safety of the 3DS when it comes to young kids' eyes. EA confirms that paper manuals are on the way out. Super Meat Boy heads to Rock Band while Steam heads to Android and the iPhone. Star Wars: The Old Republic is hit by a wave of beta scammers, and we discovered the unlikely successor to one of the world's most controversial games. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen. The brand new 3DS launches in the US, Europe and Australia over the next week, and Nintendo have taken the stance that their new handheld shouldn't be used by children as it may cause issues with their eyesight. This has been widely publicised, with most people seeming to accept that, the glasses-free 3D technology hasn't really been tested on young kids, so there's every possibility that it might be dangerous. That is, until this week, when a collection of American optometrists have spoken up, saying that it might actually be a good idea to get your kids to play a few games on the 3DS, particularly if they're younger than 6. Rather than causing any problems, the specialists say that the handheld might actually help catch vision disorders that may otherwise not have been spotted. Disorders like amblyopia, or lazy eye, can prevent the 3D vision from working properly and are also likely to impact on the child's reading ability. The American Optometrists Association recommends keeping an eye on your youngster while they're playing. If they report any dizziness or discomfort, take them to see a specialist. Speaking of reading, it looks like the days of idly flipping through a beautifully illustrated, perfectly written game manual are numbered. Today's manuals are typically bare bones affairs, and if EA Sports has its way, even those are on the way out. Starting with the recent release of Fight Night Champion, EA Sports is no longer publishing paper manuals for its console games. They're following in Ubisoft's footprints. The French company made a similar move in April last year. An EA spokesperson has explained that the decision isn't primarily to deprive gamers from another tactile experience. Instead, it will make game production more environmentally friendly and a bit cheaper. Those of you who might need a bit of help with your technique, don't despair. The manual information is still included with the game. It might be included as a digital version on the game disc, or more commonly translated into an in-game tutorial. In other news, the music from Super Meat Boy is getting closer to making its grand debut in Rock Band 3 as Fairwood Studios put the finishing touches on their conversion. We've gotten our hands on a preview of one of the tracks, a remix of Danny B's The Battle of Little Slugger, and in Fairwood's own words, guitarists, drummers, good luck. This is an early preview build and it is subject to change, but if it's anything like the final product, I think we're in for a treat. Fairwood, a company that specialises in converting complete songs into tracks for Rock Band, are also working on remixes of 2 more songs from Super Meat Boy, which we can expect to see in the near future. In a recent interview, Valve's head honcho Gabe Newell has confirmed that Steam may well be heading to the iOS and Android devices in one form or another. He also confirmed a number of other upcoming Steam features, a video recorder and a Source filmmaker, which he says is in the pipeline for a public release. The smartphone news isn't too surprising following Steam's shift to Apple last year. The SDK upgrade has meant that games developers can easily create new projects for Mac, closing the gaming gap between operating systems. We're not really expecting to see Half-Life 2 appearing on the iPhone anytime soon, even though that would be pretty cool. Instead, we're anticipating Steam's more social features like chat, profiles and groups will make their way to smartphones. Hopefully they'll bring some of the smaller casual games over too. If someone's offered to sell you a beta key for Star Wars: The Old Republic, be wary. According to developer BioWare, there are a pesky bunch of cyber bandits who are running around online promising people access to the game's beta test. 2 major problems here. Firstly, the game's not in beta yet, and secondly, who pays to get into a beta? BioWare reassure gamers that the company has not issued any invitations for game testing at this stage. Community coordinator Alison Berryman also reminds gamers that the sale of accounts with access to the game testing program is strictly prohibited by the game testing agreement. The company closely monitors all accounts in the program, and punishment includes permanent bans from the service. So if you've received an email or any other message claiming that you have been invited into the game testing program, if you hand over a few bucks, you are asked to please forward all details to BioWare. In case you're too young to remember, Night Trap was perhaps the most controversial game in the world when it was first released in 1992 for the Sega CD. The horror title, the world's first interactive movie experience, memorably featured scantily clad women being attacked by monsters.
Megan, this isn't gonna work. You're not scaring me. Wait. What are you doing? No! No!
Understandably, it was held up by US Congress as an example of the harmful effects games were having on minors. In fact, Night Trap, along with Lethal Enforcers, Doom and the original Mortal Kombat, are cited as primary factors that led to the creation of a rating system for video games in both the United States and Australia. And at the time, as games were only for kids, nobody in the Australian government thought to include an adult rating, something that still plagues us nearly 20 years later. Something else that plagues us these days is the genre of care games, something that started back in the mid-90s with the release of the Pets series. It seems that the two have more in common than we once thought. Games industry veteran Rob Fulop has admitted this week that after working on Night Trap, he was devastated by the public's horrified reaction to the game. He says it was horrible that everybody, friends, politicians, Captain Kangaroo, were claiming that Night Trap was bad for kids. So he decided his next game would be something totally different. He turned his back on the horror genre and went for something so cute and so adorable that Congress and Captain Kangaroo couldn't possibly find fault in it. That game was actually two, Dogs and Cats, the start of the Pets series. Today, the series has expanded to also include hamsters, dolphins, horses, monkeys, pandas, bunnies, and tigers, all on a range of platforms. It's probably arguable which one of these two Rob Fulop creations have had a greater impact on the gaming world. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is GamePron News.